It was a bright morning, and a school bus full of children left for class. Their laughter echoed through the dusty road as they waved goodbye. No one knew this would be the last time they were seen. A journey of joy was about to turn into a mystery. Midway, the sky darkened and rain poured heavily. The driver struggled to see through the storm. The bus veered toward a sharp bend near the river. Moments later, silence replaced the sound of laughter. Villagers rushed to the scene after hearing a crash. The bus was nowhere to be found, only skid marks on the road. The river roared angrily, carrying broken pieces of wood. But not a single child was found. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. Families held on to photos, praying for miracles. Authorities declared the children lost forever. The village sank into grief and silence. Years passed, yet the memory of the bus haunted everyone. Every storm reminded parents of that cursed day. Some claimed they heard children's voices near the forest. But no one dared to believe the whispers. Then, 5 years later, a group of hunters entered the deep forest. What they saw froze them in disbelief. Children alive, grown, and living in handmade huts. The lost bus kids had survived. They had built their own community, using sticks and stones. They hunted small animals, gathered fruits, and grew crops. They had learned to live without the outside world. The forest had become their home. When asked how they survived, the oldest spoke with wisdom. We had no choice but to become each other's family. They created rules, shared food, and protected one another. What began as tragedy had turned into resilience. The hunters guided them back to the village. Parents wept, hugging children they thought were gone forever. The story spread like wildfire across the nation. It was a miracle no one could explain. Scientists studied their survival, calling it extraordinary. Psychologists called them the generation of resilience. But villagers called it nothing less than divine. The lost bus had returned as living legends. The children described how they made fire from stones. They learned to read stars for direction at night. Every challenge sharpened their courage and mind. They had turned survival into a way of life. They even built a system to collect rainwater. Little hands turned banana leaves into funnels. Resourcefulness became their strongest weapon. The forest taught them more than any classroom. The younger ones looked up to the older kids as leaders. Discipline kept them united through storms and hunger. They punished no one but guided with love. A society of children, ruled by compassion. News channels arrived to cover the miracle. Helicopters circled the village, capturing the reunion. The world watched with disbelief and awe. Everyone asked, how could this even be real? The parents could not stop embracing their children. Tears mixed with laughter, years of grief washed away. It was as if time itself had reversed. A broken community was whole again. But the mystery remained, where had the bus gone? Divers searched the river but found only twisted metal. The driver's seat was empty, steering wheel broken. Questions hung in the air like shadows. Some whispered that the forest had swallowed them. Others believed divine hands had protected the children. Science struggled to explain the impossible. Faith filled the gap where logic failed. Psychologists said survival instincts had evolved. Children had adapted faster than anyone expected. Their bond had given them strength to live. Unity had been their greatest shield. The children's story spread across the globe. Books were written, documentaries were filmed. They became symbols of hope and resilience. Legends born from tragedy. Yet late at night, some children still woke in fear. The sound of rain triggered memories of the storm. Not all wounds were visible to the eye. Survival had a hidden price. The government offered therapy and education to the children. Doctors studied their health and resilience closely. They had grown stronger but also carried hidden scars. Healing would take years, maybe lifetimes. Some children refused to sleep in houses. Walls felt like cages after years of open skies. They missed the freedom of the forest. Civilization felt both safe and strange. Still, they slowly adjusted to the world outside. Schools welcomed them like heroes of survival. Classrooms echoed with their laughter once again. The lost had finally returned home. Yet every villager remembered that river bend. It stood as a symbol of tragedy and miracle. Some built a shrine there to honor the lost. The memory would never fade. Historians recorded the tale for future generations. They called it The Children Who Defied Death, a story that blurred the line between myth and reality, one that would live forever in hearts. But whispers of the missing bus never stopped. Some said the driver vanished without a trace. Others believed he still roamed the forest. The mystery deepened the legend. Years later, the children grew into adults. They carried their jungle lessons into real life. Bravery, unity, and survival became their compass. They turned pain into power. One child became a doctor, helping others heal. Another turned into a teacher, sharing wisdom of survival. Their journey inspired countless lives. The forest children became leaders. But whenever storms raged, they remembered that night. The echoes of fear never fully left them. Survival had given them strength, but also shadows. The legend of the lost bus lived on. And so, the story of the lost bus was not just about survival. It was about courage, unity, and the will to live against all odds. But what do you think? What lesson did you take from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below.